Welcome back, everyone. Spring has sprung, but apparently not for us. We got another 4 inches of snow last night. So we're going to spend some more time in the shop. So we're glad you could join us. We hope that you enjoy this video. Today's project is a couple of birdhouses that Mrs. From the Woods has been asking for. We have lots of chickadees and nuthatches in the area, so we thought why not encourage a few more to stay. So today's project, we're going to use a couple of cut-offs from a previous project, the jumbo clothespin, and I'll link that video in the description below. Some plywood cut-offs and some other materials laying around the shop, and some information off the internet as always. So glad you could join us. We hope that you enjoy this video, and let's get started. Okay, I've compiled all the information regarding the nuthatch and the chickadee, and as it turns out, the birdhouses are approximately the same size with the exception of the hole size and where it is located in reference to the bottom of the birdhouse. So we'll go into more detail when I get to that point, but we're going to be making the back of the birdhouse and the side and the bottom out of plywood, and then we'll stain that and give it a little bit more weather resistance. So I've got my cut list here. We need 2 bottoms. We're going to knock the corners off of each corner. Give it a little bit of ventilation and drainage, 4 sides and 2 backs, and we're going to be making the front of the birdhouse and 2 roof pitches out of the rough wood that we have left over from the previous project. So step 1, cut our plywood. Alright, we've got our plywood pieces cut. We've got our 2 backs in the top portion of the picture there. We've got our 4 sides, and I put a 45-degree bevel on the top portion of that cut, which is as per plan. So the total length adds up to being 11.5, which is 3/4 for the bottom, 10 inches of interior space, and then 3/4 for the bevel portion of the piece. So they're 11.5 by 4 inches, and then we've got our 2 bottoms. I've knocked the 4 corners off of each piece, which is for drainage and ventilation. So the next step is going to be assembling the back portion of these birdhouses. Well, the main body portions of the birdhouses are built. Now you can see why we knocked the corners off of the bottoms, just to give it a bit of an airflow and drainage if necessary. And we raised the box or the bottom an inch off the bottom edge of the back and a 1/4 inch reveal on both sides. And I like to do that because in the event that your joints start to open up due to weather or swelling or whatever the situation, it doesn't look as bad as if you tried to keep all your joints flush. So just a bit of an optical trick. So our next step is to start cutting up the wood slabs for the roof pitches and the fronts. Well, these are the leftover pieces from the jumbo clothespin project. And I have enough here to make all my roof pitches, so we're going to cut a straight edge on that and then rip it down to about 8 inches. And then I can cut my roof pitches out of that. And then I thought we would make the face of the birdhouse out of that, including the limb feature there as part of the face, make it a little bit more interesting. So next step is to rip a straight edge and rip them down to width. All right, we've got our pieces cut. We've got our 2 faces. We managed to save the limb detail, so I think that'll be kind of a neat little feature. And then we have to figure out where our roof pitches go. But I think I'm going to take this one down a little bit on the jointer. It's a little bit too thick. This one is okay, thickness-wise. We've got our material for the roof pitches, and I could only get 7.5 inches. That's why this one is a bit too thick. The roof won't extend over the front face enough to make it worthwhile. So we're going to bring this one down first, then we'll figure out our roof pitches. Okay, our pieces are all ready to be figured out now. So the 2 pieces here, this piece I planed down quite a bit to reduce the thickness. Decided to plane all the pieces just to give me a smooth back to work from. And the wood is actually a little bit green on the inside, so it's starting to warp pretty quick. So I got to get these things together reasonably soon. At any rate, we'll figure out the roof pitches next on the fronts and the backs, and then we'll figure out how we're going to cut the roof pitches. We're going to cut the roof pieces now. So I've cut the main pieces to about 18 inches, so I got enough room to play on either side. So my idea is to take it over to the panel saw and cut it on an angle 45, flip the second piece around and cut right where that edge is at another 45, and then it should fold into 90 degrees and the profile of the log should match. Alright, so we've mitered our pieces, we've cut them to the same length. So this is what I was talking about when you miter out of the center and you fold it, that this profile now matches all the way across. And I just think it's a bit of a neater look. And so now we're going to be locating the holes to the nest. Alright, we're going to be making the hole for the chickadee nest 1 1/8 and 4 to 8 inches off the floor. So let's just pick 6 because that's the average. And we'll mark that on the. So for the chickadee we set a 1 1/8 inch hole, about 4 to 8 inches, and we picked 6 off of the floor. So this bottom overhangs the bottom of the birdhouse by 3/4. The bottom is 3/4. We add that to the 6 inches, we get 7.5. So we'll make the mark at about 7.5, and we'll drill the 1 1/8 inch hole somewhere in that location. Alright, well, we've got all of our parts cut, and the birdhouse on the left here is for the Chickadee, which has a 1 1/8 inch hole 6 inches above the floor, and the one on the right is for the Nuthatch, which is 7.5 inches above the floor, and it is a 1 1/4 inch hole. And so now we're going to be staining the boxes first before we put the wood on, and then we will attach the face and the roof pieces. Alright, so we're ready to assemble. The stain is dried enough that I can handle them, and instead of white glue we're going to be using a DAP product, Alex Plus Translucent. It goes on white and then dries clear, just to give it a little bit more weatherproofing, especially on the roof parts and against the back, so that the water doesn't run in. And it is a latex based product, so it's not harmful or toxic. And some 16 gauge 2.5 inch pins to put it all together. So let's get these things assembled. Alright, well, 2 beautiful birdhouses out of some offcuts from a previous project, and some scrap plywood, some pins and glue and stain, and some information off the internet, and we have 2 beautiful birdhouses. The one on the left is for the Chickadee, and the one on the right is for the red-breasted Nuthatch. As you can see, the entries are a bit higher on the right, and I guess that's, according to the internet, the way they like it. But it was a fun project for the afternoon, and we hope that you enjoyed this video. And if you did, we would love it if you would subscribe, like, and share, and hit that bell icon. And join us again for another video coming soon. Thanks for watching.